Hello and welcome to the In the Beginning podcast. It is our mission to bring readers and authors together through reviews, discussion, and unique topic episodes inspired by the author or their work. This week's episode is brought to you by Shirts by Sarah. Head over to shirtsbysarah.com to find the shirt that tells your story. Remember to subscribe to the podcast to keep up to date with the stories and the discussions. This week, Marie Camera Frankie will introduce you to Updrift by Errin Stevens, about Kate and Cara, a mother-daughter duo who decide to pack up and start over on the coast, where young Cara finds a friend in the ocean. Sit back, relax, and think of sun, sand, and waves while In the Beginning introduces you to Updrift by Errin Stevens.
The pleasure cruiser floated on billowing waves a mile off the Atlantic shore. Its small group of passengers reclined in various stages of stupor on the modest deck. The sun, white hot and high in the June sky, pummeled the seafarers with its heat, penetrating and dulling the attention of even the most preoccupied until all were calm, quiet, and drunk on their own leisure. To her disappointment, Kate was the only child in the party, but she was used to solitude and entertained herself as she often did with a game of imaginary play. For this interlude, she lay on her stomach, her chin resting on crossed arms as she peered over the boat's edge into the sapphire water. Her lips moved as she whispered, hoping to conjure a sea turtle or a dolphin to play with, although nothing swam her way. She became hopeful when a long, silvery blue fish appeared. It paused just past the depth where she could determine what exactly it was, and it swayed to catch her attention. "It's teasing me," at which point it vanished. Kate strained closer to the ocean. Too soon, a brilliant turquoise-colored fluke startled her from just below the water's surface, the body attached to it out of sight under the boat. The tail rippled out and back again, gossamer and fantastic. "Come," it beckoned. Kate reached down to touch it and slid noiselessly into the water. Her mother told her later that she heard laughing then, and how panicked she was when she realized Kate had fallen overboard. Kate herself was unconcerned, already racing off with her new friend, a boy named Gabe, caring only for his invitation to play and the adventure he promised if she could escape from her mom. The passengers on the boat appeared impossibly far off, although she heard their shouts to let go of the dolphin, which confused her, since she was holding on to a boy. Her life vest floated, detached, useless, and well out of her reach. She yelled to everyone that she would be all right, that she was swimming to shore. "But she can't swim," her mother cried. Kate disappeared as the boating party scrambled to follow and call for help. On the shore, two shockingly pretty women waited for her as she and Gabe exited the water. Kate walked ahead of her new friend, who was now escorted by a dark-haired lady whispering admonishments in his ear. "We were just playing, Mom," Gabe complained. Kate smiled at the red-haired woman who approached her and took her hand. "I'm Anna," she heard her say, or imagined she heard her say, since the only actual sounds she recognized were those of surf in the wind. Anna stopped by a blanket littered with the remains of a picnic. "Would you like some lemonade? You must be thirsty." Kate accepted the cup and checked on Gabe, who now wore swim trunks rather than whatever he had worn in the water. She couldn't recall. She waited for him to catch up. He asked if she wanted to build a sandcastle, and she said okay. When her mother, Cara, reached the shore, Kate could see she was frantic, running awkwardly in the sand to get to her. Anna, the other woman, and Gabe's mother oriented themselves in a semicircle around her and Gabe, all of them frowning at her mom's progress. Kate scowled at the hovering adults and whispered to Gabe, "Can you make them go away?" Gabe sneaked a peek at his mother. "We should go in the water again." They stood to act on their intention, but the adults stepped in their path. "Absolutely not," Gabe's mother scolded them. They slumped back down in their would-be sandcastle. "Catherine," her mother gasped when she reached her, and for all Cara's petting and kisses, Kate felt as if she'd never been in bigger trouble. "Did you fall in? I was beside myself. And where did the dolphin come from? I can't believe you weren't hurt." "It's okay, Mama," Kate replied, confused by the repeat references to a dolphin. But as her mother could see, nothing bad happened. "I was with Gabe," Kate began. "That was quite something, wasn't it?" Gabe's mom interjected, catching Cara's gaze. "We have a friendly dolphin in this bay." She ruffled Kate's hair. "I guess he liked you." "I'm Carmen Blake, Gabe's mother. She gestured towards the two women. And these are my sisters, Lydia and Anna. She offered Cara her life vest. Here, this is your daughter's. Given Cara's agitation, she decided not to say she'd taken the vest off when she shouldn't have. The nylon belts were cut and frayed, the clasps still secure, and Cara studied the straps, which Gabe had cut with his knife, with a frown. What on earth? Her mother murmured, examining the belts. She must have had more urgent questions, however, because she dropped the vest to her side and started asking them. Why had she left the safety of the deck? Where had she gone? And why didn't she stay put as asked? How had she ended up on the beach so quickly? Kate noted the glowers Anna, Lydia, and Carmen gave her and decided she wasn't supposed to answer. To her relief, the trio's strange intensity distracted her mother. Her scrutiny shifted. Her mom's voice became strained, and her next word sounded like an apology. I was watching her, I swear. The kids were just playing, Carmen said kindly. I got to them right away, and no harm was done. Kate's fine, although I'm sure you had quite a scare. Her mom's brow creased. You got to them? I looked everywhere in the water for her. Everywhere. I didn't see anything. Not you, not the boy, and certainly not Kate. And I feel just awful. I was dozing and oblivious while Kate pitched herself overboard. She lowered her gaze to her hands. Thank you for saving her. She emitted a small, frustrated laugh. And I'm grateful you haven't called Child Protective Services on me. Carmen placed a hand on her mom's shoulder, at which point Kate literally felt the tension leave her mother's body, saw her frown soften into something less worrisome. Good. Her mom's torment was disturbing all of them, and she wanted it gone. She tugged her mother's shirt. Could she go play with her friend? Cara tracked the fast-advancing contingent of friends from the boat, led by Kate, saw by her Aunt Dana, and escorted by a bunch of people in uniforms. The Coast Guard needs to talk with us, hon. So, unfortunately, we need to go. Gabe added his protests to Kate, but no one listened to them. Carmen offered her mother a small envelope. We're having a birthday party for Gabe next week at the house. She indicated a large Cape Cod up the hill from the water. You came just as I was filling these out. I hope you and Kate can come. Perhaps we'll take you up on that. We just moved here, and I'd love for Kate to make a few friends before school. She glanced anxiously at the clutch of humanity marching their way. I'm sorry, but you'll have to excuse us. Thank you for keeping my daughter. I'd like to say I'd return the favor, but I hope I never have to. I'm so sorry this happened. Carmen dismissed Cara's statement with a wave of her hand. It was nothing. I hope you come to the party. Her mother promised she called to RSVP and offered a quick smile to Lydia and Anna before leaving. Kate followed, waving forlornly at Gabe as she went. After assuring themselves Kate was unharmed, conversation among the adults centered on how much time had passed between her fall off the boat and the present. Cara maintained it couldn't have been more than a few minutes, and the others agreed, although they couldn't, considering the hour, reconcile how quickly the afternoon had passed. We sailed at 10 this morning, Aunt Dana stated, which means we were on the water 6 hours. It seems like so much less. Everyone appeared confused. Her mom spoke to the Coast Guard, signed a form, and then steered her towards the parking lot. Let's go home. Can we come back tomorrow? Her mother kissed the top of her head. We'll see, she hedged. This means, Kate knew, a visit the next day was unlikely. They did not return to the beach the next day, but Kate heard her mom on the phone saying they would attend Gabe's birthday party. Can we bring anything? Which was followed by, no, my husband, Kate's dad, is no longer living. No need to apologize. Really, I'm used to it. And please don't worry, although I will have my sister here. Great, we'll bring her. Yes, I'll let Kate know. Her mother smiled at her after she hung up. Gabe is thrilled you're coming, she reported, and her smile faded. Although I'm not sure I'm thrilled to be going. We're going, Kate told her adamantly. She hurried away to avoid any possibility of argument on the subject. Her claim staked, she resumed her typical approach to her mother's distress, which was to ignore it since her mom worried about everything as far as she could tell, always had. Especially after her dad's death, when they'd felt alone and stuck, her mom had been perpetually anxious, both for the lonely future facing them and because she needed to find a job. Thanks to a government education program and grandparents able to babysit, Cara obtained a library science degree. But she'd never, in Kate's memory, been anything but a worrywart. Kate didn't have any clear memories of her dad. From what her mother had told her and from pictures, she knew he was popular and athletic in high school, understood he made a go of the family's farm implement business, and she knew he and her mom were very much in love. The machinery accident that killed George Sweeting stole all but her mother's physical presence from Kate as well, until they relocated for Cara's job. After the funeral, Kate only noticed their brokenness when she was over at other houses with intact, ungrieving parents and lives that did not revolve around sadness. When Kate did not spend time apart from her family, she did not notice the emptiness as much. Consequently, she came to prefer being at home or at her grandparents', where the oppressive grief hovering over was normal. Her Aunt Dana sent them an ad for the librarian job that would take them out of their joyless world. The ad was too modest to suggest the impact it would have on them, just a short, bold headline stating, "Librarian wanted," followed by a contact name and a phone number for interested applicants. The job was in some unheard-of town in North Carolina. Her mom told her she wasn't sure what compelled her to call, but she maintained the call saved them. "All we have here is connected to your dad, Kate. I can't escape the grief in this place, and I can't live with this grief anymore. I have to try. We need something new." Kate had nodded solemnly and laid her head against her mom's leg, not really understanding, but wanting to comfort her. She went along to Griffiths Bay for the interview, sitting quietly with her books and doll on a bench outside the office while her mother learned the specifics of her new job on the other side of the door. It was March there and warmer than back home. The air was different too. Not the hard, dry force of nature that swept across the fields surrounding their little town in Kansas, but fresher and definitely wet. This place smelt new to Kate, exciting. She felt hopeful for the first time she could remember. Her grandparents cried when Cara told them they were moving, but they supported her decision to leave. Grandma Mary held her mom's face in her hands when she told her, "There's nothing for you here, Cara. We know that. You take this chance to be happy. Just bring Kate back from time to time so she can remember her old grandma and grandpa in Kansas." Her mother sniffled for the first 3 hours of the 2-day drive, but as they left the flat, plowed the plains of home, her sadness faded. By the end of the first day of travel, she smiled at Kate and made light conversation. They stayed at a hotel that let them make their own waffles for breakfast, which Kate thought was the best. "My little trooper," Mom brushed her cheek with her palm. "We're starting a wonderful new adventure together, aren't we?" Kate returned her mother's smile. "I think so, Mama." The first few weeks after their move passed at an easy enough pace, which persuaded Cara she could make it as a single parent with no one she knew close by. They come in May, and she didn't have to start work until June, meaning they spent an unhurried, constant hours together at the beach or cafe or movie theater, all freedom she wouldn't have had enjoyed even a month earlier. She was revitalized and interested in what she was doing for the first time in years, but distrusted her reprieve from despair, that it would last. She had been too profoundly lost since her husband's accident, her emotions too buried for them to feel anything but strange and unstable outside the context of sadness. Here, though, she woke each day with tentative optimism, willing to contemplate new engagements with anticipation. She nursed small hopes she might finally be recovered. Her daughter's resilience bolstered this hope because she quickly demonstrated signs of thriving in the new place. After their first week, during which Kate enjoyed too many treats, too little structure, and more time with her mother than Cara ever been able to give her, she remarked, "North Carolina is a way better place to live than Kansas." With the cash she had from the sale of George's business, she purchased a house in Childress, a town with more affordable real estate 10 miles inland from Griffiths Bay. Both she and Kate would have to commute to work and school, but the house was worth it. Small and picturesque, butter yellow with black shutters, dormers over the upper windows, and a spacious yard with a garden outside the back door. Someone, a long time ago, had put a tire swing on what was now an immense hickory tree in the front. To Cara, the place was storybook ideal. The burden of grief she carried the previous 2 years continued to lighten as the days passed. Dana helped her scrub every surface in the house and paint the walls with warm, vibrant colors. She found discounted vegetable plants at the local nursery, which she promised Kate she would coax into a bounty harvest in the garden area out back. She indulged her daughter in a garishly bright yellow and pink color scheme for her bedroom, adding cheerful pillows and fabric accents of every pattern imaginable. The rest was an exquisitely pretty, charming, jumbled little girl's room. Cara knew what she was doing and proud of herself. Kate, too, was impressed. And Kate was impressed with their new home, her new room, and all her mother's fresh demonstrations of competence since leaving Kansas. She felt as if her mother had freed her from something awful, like she'd been bound in baling wire from her grandfather's old shed, and Cara had snipped her out using bolt cutters. Her mother was finally someone she remembered, someone she badly missed. She drank in their contentment until she was full from it, and then she reached for another glass. Their final, and to her mind, most profound transformation occurred in the kitchen. In her depressed, which compromised the whole of Kate's conscious memory, Cara had relied on a small cadre of prepackaged dinner options to sustain them. She had no appetite and no will to cook during the time following her father's death, so she didn't. Kate became an unenthusiastic eater when presented with the mushy, oversalted, or tasteless options she was constantly served, so both of them came to regard mealtime as an unpleasant chore. Following the few days of scrubbing out cupboards and organizing pans and utensils, however, her mother made dinner that changed Kate's outlook on mealtime forever. It was roast chicken. Kate came downstairs, drowsy from an afternoon nap, to investigate the irresistible smells coming from the kitchen. Cara seemed again like she had not been crying, which was becoming the new norm since they'd come to Childress. The bread maker was out on the counter, perfuming the air with its toasty aroma. The sharp smells of onion, garlic, and lemon provided their own compelling undertone, and the whole package of scents put Kate in a happy trance. "Hi, honey," her mom said. "Want to help me make supper?" "Sure." She slid a chair over to the sink. Kate watched dubiously while her mom seasoned the chicken and put it in the roaster, adding lemon and onion to the cavity. She held out a sprig of something green for Kate to sniff. She wrinkled her nose. "It smells like a Christmas tree." "It's rosemary," Cara laughed, placing the sprig inside the bird. While the chicken roasted, she helped her mother set the table, something they never did. Cara put on some music, and they played cards. Her mom smiled diabolically when she told her, "Go fish," before laying down her hand. Kate had never seen her mother so light-hearted. The kitchen, which made such a dubious impression raw, eventually smelt too good to be true. After filling their plates, they ate silently, savoring every bite, contentment settling over them like one of their grandfather's evening prayers. Cara had glazed the carrots with brown sugar, and Kate demanded seconds. She used the buttermilk bread from the bread machine to sop up every last morsel, and finally, after she could eat no more, rested against the back of her chair and sighed. She couldn't remember a better dinner at home, nor could she recall a happier time with her mother. Kate knew she was responsible for making them late to Gabe's party, but she needed to review all the options in the store to be sure she had bought the perfect gift. Her mother had tried to hurry her by picking out a part of their present, a pail and shovel for the beach. Kate selected plastic sea creatures to bury in a nest of shredded paper, refusing to rush. She was determined to delight her new and only friend. They were the last to arrive, which was no big deal in her opinion, certainly not worth the irritation her mother and aunt expressed since leaving the store. "Thank God for all these adults," Dana murmured, and then sped towards a group of grown-ups standing by the table. Gabe tore around the corner, wielding an inflatable shark as big as he was. "Hi, Kate. I was waiting for you. We can play in the sand, but Mom says we can't swim today." Carmen was right behind him. "That's right," Carmen said sternly. "There's too much going on today to watch you kids in the water." Gabe regarded his mother as if she was nuts, while Cara cast her a grateful smile. "You let me go out on my own all the time," Gabe protested. Then to Kate, "She's not making any sense." Carmen's glare at her son should have blistered him. Gabriel Jonathan Blake, "I do no such thing." She leaned down to whisper something in his ear. Gabe was subdued, but still irritated when she finished. "Fine. But can Kate and I go play now?" "Let's introduce them to the people first, honey. Did you have trouble finding us, Cara?" "Not a bit," her mother replied. "Here, I know you didn't need us to bring anything, but I've been baking." She handed Carmen a plate of cookies. Carmen peeked under the wrapper and grinned. Thank you. I love my treats, and I'm sure they are yummy. Let's drop 'em off where they'll be safe, and I'll show you around. They went into the kitchen, and Cara's mouth fell open as she saw 3 children between the ages of 2 and 4 sitting at the table. Are they eating sushi? Carmen avoided Cara's eyes. Why, yes. Kids will eat anything if they're encouraged. The children really were eating raw fish and seaweed, as if it was their favorite things in the world to munch on. Carmen hurried to usher 2 of them away, but her mother continued to stare over her shoulder. I couldn't get my daughter to eat fish sticks, she murmured. So you mentioned Kate's birthday is coming up. When's the big day? She winked at Kate. June 13th, Kate answered. Mom says I can make the cake. Hey, Gabe explained. That's my real birthday, too. They jumped up and down singing, We have the same birthday, we have the same birthday. Carmen regarded them with bright intensity for several seconds before leading the group to the living room. They approached the threesome of adults and 2 teenagers. This is my husband, Michael, and my brother-in-law, Samuel, and his wife, Anna, who you met on the beach. And these are their sons, Simon and Aiden. Carmen linked her arms lightly around her husband's waist. This is Cara and little Kate. Cara's sister, Dana, is over talking to the Madigans. Everyone shook hands, and a couple of the adults rumpled Kate's hair. Cara and Kate just moved here, Carmen offered. The adults talked about where Cara and Kate lived in Kansas and what brought them to Griffiths Bay. Kate stared at the group with open curiosity, which, had Cara noticed, would have earned her a scolding for being rude. With his fine features and dark hair, Gabe most resembled his father, but he had his mother's eyes. Simon and Aiden could have been twins. Both were blonde and tanned, and wore wild expressions. All of them, including Carmen, had a vague glow about them. Hair, skin, eyes, Kate noticed. Nothing overt, but they shared a physical vitality she found distinctive and beautiful. She surveyed the room and noticed other guests with these features, which caused her to conclude they were all related. Not that anyone would have noticed the similarity. The most apparent quality was every adult male wore, as far as she could tell, the same glasses. Dark, rectangular frames with heavy lenses distorting their eyes. Lenses that reminded her of her grandfather and his friends, except none of these were as old as her grandfather. She heard her aunt's voice, tinged with exasperation on the other side of the room. Is everyone here a marine biologist, then? As if on cue, her mother inquired what the adults in their little group did when not attending birthday parties. I'm a marine biologist, Michael responded. And I'm a marine biologist, too, Samuel added. I teach at the university in Somerset. He nudged the boys on either side of him. These 2 are still in high school. Carmen's the only career rebel in the group. She smiled at her. So you are not a marine biologist, her mother committed wryly. Geneticist, Carmen replied. I'm a freelance from home, writing and reviewing scientific articles mostly. And I'm not technically even a rebel. I studied marine biology as an undergrad. How did you come to be our town librarian, Cara? When they were finally allowed to wander off and play with the other children, they didn't, choosing instead to keep to themselves and hide under a big table covered by tablecloth. They were quiet so no one would disturb them, and they pretended they swam again, recreating their race through the seaweed forest, as if they were the fastest, most agile creatures in the ocean.
Where is this new friendship going to take Kate and Gabe? Will they head back to the ocean? Updrift is available on Amazon. Remember to leave a review for this story and all of the stories you read when you finish. And you can also help the In the Beginning podcast by leaving a review for us as well on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you found us. Reviews are so important for any project and help us bring you the best content possible. Tune in next week when we talk to indie author Errin Stevens about mermaids, research, and heading to the water for her Updrift novel. In the Beginning is an ACM Books production. All readings in this episode were performed by Marie Camera Frankie, with permission from the author. All production, editing, and the rest was done by myself. I am your host, Benjamin Frankie, asking everyone to read more books, be the best possible you, and to simply enjoy this wonderful life. Thanks for listening.